I'm actually working on a translation out of the Greek. Now, probably a lot of people would not agree with the idea of translating the New Testament, at least in the manner that I'm doing it. The reason I say that is because many people feel that only a scholar should be able to look into such matters. And my view is very different, because if we look at the King James Bible, which it's not my purpose to knock the King James Bible or really any other Bible, but for example, if we look at the King James Bible, we can find instances where a whole array of words in the Greek language are translated into one word in English. For example, parousia, erkomai. That's two of many, many different Greek words that were all translated into come in English. Yet these words had actually very distinct meanings. And it's my opinion that what has happened is, even though we have had newer translations come out since the King James Bible was printed, at a certain point, the people who authored the newer translations, they are in a situation where maybe if they depart too far from the King James Bible, people could look at the text and think that maybe it's wrong. That's one problem. Actually, that's two problems. One is the inconsistent process that was employed in translating into English, where we have multiple words that had very distinct meanings in the original language, all coming out as one word in English. So those are 2 points. And another point is that aside from just making a translation, the question is the sense of what the apostle was saying, is the sense of what he was saying coming through in the translation? In other words, we can look at language and the use of language from really different points of view. In one point of view, a person has the right to always ask, has this passage been accurately translated? As far as is each word accurately translated? You know, we wouldn't want to translate the word circle and write square, because obviously it didn't say square, it said circle. So as far as the actual translation, anybody has the right, everybody has the right to ask, to see, has this word been correctly or adequately translated? Now, I mean, if you have dozens of different words translated to one word in English, that right there, in my opinion, throws everything into doubt. Okay, and beyond the question of is the text and are the words adequately translated, there's another relevant question. Is the sense of what we believe to be that the apostle is communicating, is the sense of what is being said coming through? Now I know what person will say, well, but that's a matter of interpretation. Okay, but wait a minute. If you're reading a letter written by person A to group of people B, that means person A is talking to a group of people B. And so that means, well, one, group of people B should know what person A is talking about. And two, what person A is writing within, for example, a letter should have its own meaning, should have meaning within the context of the letter itself. In other words, if I wrote a letter to a person, then they should be able to read my whole letter and see what I'm saying. In other words, whatever I write ought to make some sense within the context of the letter itself. And really in the bigger picture, in the New Testament, it should make sense in the context of the people who received the letter. In this case, it would be the Christians at Corinth. So, my purpose in translating or retranslating out of the Greek is not to say, well, someone else's translation's wrong. And it's not to say, I have the best translation. Oh, I don't have the best translation. And it's not even to say, my understanding of Greek is better than somebody else's. That's not my intention, that's not my interest. My interest is this. If we translate out of the Greek right now, today, and if we translate consistently, in other words, if a word is in doubt, or if the commercial translations give a very kind of watered down, vague translation of the word, is it possible to look at how the same word was used in other contexts in the New Testament and see what does this word actually mean in terms of how they used the word? Now, if you do that, then what happens is, instead of translating dozens of words out of Greek into one word in English, what happens is you actually start seeing shades of meaning, variations of idea. Now, in translating, when these shades of meaning and variations of idea become apparent, how would we convey the overall sense being given by the apostle? Do you think that each word should have a single literal word translation in English? Or do you think that when we have dozens of different Greek words translated into one word in English, that maybe each word needs its own word or possibly phrase or descriptive phrase, which might involve 2 or 3 words? I mean, this isn't just the case with English and Greek. This really happens in a lot of different languages when moving from language A to language B. In some cases, there are, uh, uh, you know, words that have no equivalent in another language. In other cases, there are words that aren't actually summarized by a single word, but could be summarized in a phrase. So my interest is this. If we translate out of the Greek and we look for the sense of what the apostle's saying in that particular letter to that group of people, can we find it? Can we see it? Can we feel it? I mean, regardless of every detail of the word. See, it really isn't about words. It's about that one party is conveying an idea or a set of ideas to another party. And they're doing that through language, through writing. And in order for the receiving party to understand, they don't just have to recognize, well, this person said this set of words. But they have to see what is the meaning in, or what is the meaning behind all of these words. That's the point. In the parable of the sower, Jesus explained that the sower scatters the seed. When the seed is not understood, the devil comes like a hungry bird, and he devours up all that seed that's still laying on the ground that never entered into the soil or the heart. How did that happen? Jesus said when the hearer doesn't understand or doesn't perceive. And so that's why in making a translation, a retranslation, my interest is in seeing, can we get a better idea of the overall sense of what the apostle was saying as he spoke to the Christians in Corinth?